Good. Feedback robot.
Robots. Robots in flight.
Feedback robot.
Afternoon delight.
Still bad.
Sky rockets in flight. Pew. Afternoon. No. Okay, UT3. Power rings, unite.
2, 1. There it is. Just Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the UNT3. We are three best friends that do a music podcast for you, and all we do is bring you all music all the time. Whenever we get together, we love discussing music. We want to bring you into that conversation tonight. I'm your host, Ryan Gerfers, here with co-host Christian Fisher. He's going to do it in one take tonight, even with his microphone. One take, it's all it's going to take. And then Mr. Houston Astros over there.
I'll take that.
He is the Houston Astros true hero. And, that's not going to go away. You are the hero.
Ever.
And it is Mr. Joel the Hero Cox over here coming at you with a little bit of Nickelback. Nickelback is his favorite band. He won't ever admit that to you, but that is his favorite band.
The first album is a good album. The second album was a decent album. Downhill after that.
But what he won't ever admit to you is he had Nickelback posters on his ceiling above his bed.
Whatever.
And so he fell asleep looking at them every night.
Yeah.
With Hero playing in his head.
His favorite song is Photographs.
So we've got a fantastic episode for you tonight. You can tell we are all hopped up tonight. We've got coffee going. We've got microphones going out. Let me tell you, the pre-production that went into this episode alone is probably the most thought out, well put together pre-production that we've ever done.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to bring it to you, and it's going to come at you fast and hard.
I mean, we even storyboarded tonight, man.
Yes, we did storyboard, and we didn't even have to bring in Miles Finch for this storyboard. That is a shout out to one of the greatest Christmas movies ever. Go back and check out, our Christmas episode, right? We're not going to talk about the movies, but it is Miles Finch storyboard making it happen.
Oh my gosh.
He's an angry elf.
Say it one more time.
You're an elf.
I hate that fucking movie.
It must be a South Pole elf.
Oh my god. Get out.
See, you're laughing. You like the movie. You just don't want to admit it. You're laughing at the quotes.
It is
only because it's coming from you.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? Christian likes Elf. Joel likes Hero. Everybody's on the same page.
I think I dislike Elf as much as you dislike Hero, Joel.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
Wow.
It's okay. But we're going to get through this episode.
What we got coming to y'all tonight, we are going to continue what we've said we're going to do this year. There's several albums that are turning 30 this year. We're going to cover one of those albums tonight. And then in our second segment, I'm going to take over the show again like I did last week or the week before. And I am going to just throw a random question out to the guys and let them talk about it. They have no idea what it's going to be. It can be anything. And so I always like doing that because it catches them off guard. We'll have another first listen, and then we'll get y'all back to your regular scheduled programming. But without further ado, let's dive right into this album turning 30 this year. The album is going to be Blood Sugar Sex Magik by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. This album turns 30 on September 24th, and it was recorded, of course, 1991. It has sold over 13 million copies.
Yeah.
So pretty awesome album. I didn't really hear this album until, I don't know, I'd say maybe between 7 and 10 years ago when y'all told me to listen to it. So I did not know this album existed until y'all told me about it. But there's
It's a shame.
I mean, this is some good stuff.
And your siblings call themselves music fans.
And so, yeah, but they grew up in a totally different state. And we didn't have cell phones in the 90s. And so is what it is.
I didn't have a cell phone in the 90s, and I still listen to this album.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah, but Ryan was also like 5 years old. So.
Yeah, I was still listening to, Teletubbies.
Yeah. Well, he was like 8 when this album came out.
Yeah.
Well, he was younger though. I mean, you and we were in a different headspace at that time.
I was 9.
So, do you remember the first song that we exposed you to off that album that you were like,
well, I know. Well, so I know the first song off of this album that I heard, and I didn't realize that this song was on this album, but it was "Give It Away." Okay. I had heard "Give It Away" before on MTV and seen the music video. I just didn't realize that it was a part of this album.
Yeah.
So I had heard that song before, but I guess really once y'all told me about this album, the song that I really kind of dug was "I Could Have Lied." I really enjoy that song. But what does it for me on this album, man, is Flea. Flea is,
Effing
Flea. Go back and check out our super group when we select our bass player. Check out that episode and see who makes our super group. And so, dude, Flea is just on this album for me is lit, fire, bougie, 100. Whatever the other words you want to use.
He's 100.
Amen.
Yeah.
Say less. That's the new thing, by the way. Say less. I don't know what it means, but all I know is when I say it, it really, really gets all of the high schoolers to cringe.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, Blood Sugar Sex Magik. Y'all jump into it.
Nice. Well, hey, since you brought it up, why don't we take a second and we'll listen to a little bit of "I Could Have Lied."
Do it.
Doing it. Okay. I still think that this solo is one of my all-time favorite solos.
Yes.
It's all right.
Oh, come on. And just listening to the bass line with Flea and what he does on that groove is just...
What I like about this song, too, is it was on Guitar Hero, so I got to play all these.
Yeah.
The whole album's on Guitar Hero or Rock Band. That's what we all played together.
Yeah. So, I mean, this whole album, I remember when I listened to it for the first time, MTV still played music, and "Give It Away" was the first single off that album. And I just remember going, what the heck? All the guys in the metallic paint, the metallic instruments, they're in the desert. And for me, Red Hot Chili Peppers is one of those bands that nobody sounds like. There's nothing that sounds like anything that the Red Hot Chili Peppers does, especially "Give It Away." And of course, then I went out and bought the album. And I don't know if y'all know this, but this This album was one of the first to utilize the long form format that a CD provided, because you had, I think it's up to 75 minutes at the time. And they utilized, I mean, it was more music than anyone really had previously done, unless you did like a double LP or something like that. So it was pretty revolutionary at the time. But I just remember, like, this album just, there's a documentary where they actually show them making this album, and it is phenomenal. So
It's on YouTube. You can find it.
yeah, it is a awesome album. So
Well, and not to mention though that this album is so awesome, and it only took them 3 months to record it.
yeah,
It was April through June of '91, and then they released it in September. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, like Christian said earlier, I mean, that's a quick turnaround on such a good album.
It's a
yeah,
very quick turnaround.
yeah. It was a haunted house, and they set up their equipment, and supposedly, things would happen with the equipment during the day and at night, and that they just somehow made it work. And Rick Rubin, produced the album, and the story goes that Rick Rubin would show up and had a couch in there, and the guys would just be jamming and doing whatever, and he would just like lay on this couch with his eyes closed, and then finally they'd get done doing whatever it is they were doing, and he would sit up and he'd say, "Keep that, don't do that, keep working on this, that's perfect, do you have anything?" And then he'd get up and he'd leave. So like he was totally hands-on, but yet not hands-on at the same time. And it really allowed them to be like, if you listen to me, if you listen to the album Mother's Milk, which is right before Blood Sugar Sex Magik, it's like, for me, they just took like a monumental leap forward. And I think the albums that they did after that, all of them have been just lights out. So what are your thoughts, Fisher, about this album?
Yeah, about time. Well, going back to the Rick Rubin thing, if he produced Metallica's Death Magnetic, and Lars would say, he basically had that same approach. He'd walk in, he'd lay on the couch, they'd record, they'd come in, and he'd say, okay, just exactly he did with the Chili Peppers. Keep that, that's crap, get rid of that. Well, what it forced them to do is come in with, and I think this is why the album was recorded and mastered and put out so quickly, was that it forced you to come in with your songs fully realized, and like no screwing around. Let's just get to business and do what we do. He's a completely different producer than, say, like a Bob Rock, who will say, hey, I like what you're doing, but try it in this key instead.
Yeah.
Right? Or pull back on the tempo. And so, and this was Frusciante's second album with the band.
Yep.
I mean, and so I think coming in doing Mother's Milk, he was kind of building off of what Hillel Slovak did before, and then he came in the band at 18, and then doing Blood Sugar Sex Magik. Excuse me. I think that's where he gets to. It's his real first opportunity to say, "This is who I am as a guitar player, and what I'm going to be in the band." And I think it's really typified with that guitar intro to Under the Bridge, right? That's just him playing at the beginning. And I mean, for someone 18 at 21, 2021, recording that album, just the soul and character that he plays, especially on that track, Under the Bridge, I think is very profound. And like most people, the first song I heard off this album was Give It Away. And thinking to myself, well, that's an interesting tune. Really wasn't something that my ear was keen on at the time.
Yeah.
I was, 8th grade, freshman in high school, somewhere in there when it came out. And, well, September of 91, I would have been in 8th grade. But I don't really remember it coming into my consciousness until when I got into high school, listening to like upperclassmen talk about it, and that's what piqued my interest was these older guys talking about this album and how just different it was from everything out there, right? Because this was right around. I mean, this album was released in the same 6-week period as 10 and Nevermind and Bad Motorfinger and even the Black Album, all of which we'll talk about at some point. But this was just such a contrast to all that music. It just stood out and it stood on its own. I mean, and personally, I think this is an album I can listen to front to back. Just put it on, listen to track 1 to track last, and I won't skip a track. I mean, there are some that I think maybe they could have cut out of the album.
Yeah.
Right. But that's just me.
Yeah. The last track is not, it's a Little Feat cover. And for me, I skip it every time, but the rest of the album to me is lit.
Yeah. I think, and it's been my favorite song on the album since the first time I heard it. Cause it was just, who names a song Suck My Kiss? Right. And just, that little vocal intro from Anthony Kiedis, and then it goes slamming into the track. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, go ahead, play it.
Yeah.
I mean, just listen to that. Listen to Flea at the.
That hit. Every time. And this is the thing, like, this is a total Hendrix chord coming up right here, this part, but it doesn't sound like Hendrix.
Right here?
That's a Foxy Lady chord. But it doesn't
right
sound
here.
Anything like Hendrix,
Yeah.
And then okay, it's just amazing, man.
And the guitar solo in that song, the guitar, I think it's the best solo on the song.
On the album?
Or yeah, best solo on the album. Thank you.
Yeah, no. It's definitely good, and it's so simple. It's 2 guitar parts mixed together, and what's interesting to me is, like, if you look at their early stuff, they wanted to be P-Funk. You listen to Flea's bass tone, they wanted to be P-Funk. And then they kind of got into this kind of P-Funk / kind of rapish kind of thing. And then Frusciante comes in and it becomes a little further removed from that. But like on this album and then all the subsequent ones, taking Dave Navarro's album out of it, that's a whole
great album, by the way.
It's a great, One Hot Minute is a great album, but it doesn't really fit the narrative of Californication and
completely different guitar player. Different mood, different tone.
Exactly. But I think what's great about this album is that I can sit there and say that is a P-Funk bass line. That is a Hendrix chord. Here is, X, Y, and Z. But it doesn't sound anything like that unless you take it out of the context of the song. If it's in the song, it just sounds like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And that's what I think is so great. And we had a discussion previously on album openers, and I really think the first 3 songs off this album are some of the strongest. The lead-off track, the second song, and then If You Have to Ask, and then the third track. All 3 of those, I mean, it sets the tone for the whole album. And the whole album is great, but I just remember hearing those first songs going, when is this going to let up? Because it just kept going song to song to song to song. And they were just great, all of them, ending with Breaking the Girl, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, let's take a listen to If You Have to Ask, which is actually the second song off this album.
I mean, that's pretty funky right there.
Yeah. But then they come in with, which is not, you know, it takes that kind of P-funk element and turns it into this, which really to me is not a, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Anybody want to come get some?
Yeah. God, that bass line, man. Anyway, I mean, that track is just, and then again, you know, it goes into that breakdown part where there's a little guitar solo. Again, that guitar solo could totally fit in like the best category. Like every guitar solo on this album really is, you know, it's pretty amazing. So while we do this,
Yeah,
while we take a listen to one more song, and then going ahead, if you don't mind, we're going to listen to a little bit of Sir Psycho Sexy.
Yeah. I think we need to listen to like the last minute and a half also.
Okay. Of this song?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what kills me about this is if you listen to it, the bass part and the guitar part are pretty opposite of each other. But you just have Chad just like pretty much every song, he's just driving that beat, man. It's like he's just letting them kind of do their thing, but he's kind of the anchor that holds everything together.
Yeah. With my heart all bleeding.
Yeah.
And some demons in my booty.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and skip because this is an 8-minute song. So
Yeah.
so this is the ending of the song.
Which is just completely different than.
Yeah.
I think this is where John shows off.
Yeah. This is a precursor to what would become Danny California, the solo in that, which is, you know. And that's another thing that I love about this song is if you listen to it, I don't know if they play to a click track, but when he's playing, like that section, he literally pulls back the drums about as far as you can go before it's time to go into that next round of that song. God.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it feels like. And then the band just, it's just great. Great songwriting, great lyrics, great recording, great producing, just all around. And of course, it took them to a level that, I mean, anyway. Real quick, while we're talking about things in this album, do you think that this year could be considered the best year in music based off of some of the albums that were released?
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier today. And I would say easily obviously the last 30 years. Because I rattled them off earlier. I mean, you had, in a 6-week span of time, you had Bad Motorfinger. I'm gonna rattle them off again. Bad Motorfinger, Nevermind, Pearl Jam's 10, the Black Album. You had this album come out. I mean, that's 5 just standard bearer albums. Like,
Yeah. Did you say REM Out of Time?
Out of Time, but it didn't come out. It came out in March.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it came out in '91, but it didn't come out in that span of time.
Yeah, but as far as
you
for
still have
year,
yeah, but as far as the year, but what I'm saying is just in that 6-week span of time, you had 5 albums released that people could point to and say that changed the face of music for the next 30 years.
Oh yeah.
Right? People still point to pick one of those albums and say, that's a gold standard. That's what I want my albums to sound like, right? Whether it's, the 3 albums that came out of Seattle that defined a genre, grunge, right? Mm-hmm. Or like I stated when we did the metal episode, the Black Album that kind of, depending on who you are and what you think, I really don't think that was Metallica going to the mainstream. That was just them, because they've always done what they've wanted to do, right? They've never, we're a metal band, so we have to fit the metal format. It was just, they put out an album, like James said, we just had a bunch of good songs and we put them out, and people just gravitated to it for whatever reason. So, yeah, and this album, Blood Sugar Sex Magik, I mean, yes, Californication sold more. Danny California, that album, what is it? Stadium Arcadia.
Yeah.
That album sold more. But this one, Blood Sugar Sex Magik, I think is, for lack of a better way of describing it, it's their Dark Side of the Moon, right? Mm-hmm. People look at them and say, that's the Chili Peppers album that, if you want to know who they are and you want to get started in the Chili Peppers, start with this one.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any better compliment to an album than that right there. Yeah. If you want to know the essence of a band, if you want to know what they're all about, start with this album, because it's held so dear to so many people. I mean, this is one of the albums that I put on and I instantly transport back to being a teenager, right? I instantly get that nostalgia feeling, right? And images pop in my head of whether it was going to the beach and hanging out at the beach for the weekend. That wasn't till later. But yes, that too. I don't know. This is in my personal top 10 albums of all time. Does it crack the top 5? Maybe. But it's in there. It's in my personal top 10. Yeah. And plus, when I first started listening to it when I was younger, it was just fun to have Mom walk in and hear a song like Sir Cycle and watch her have a heart attack. So, yeah. I would say that the year 1991, as far as music was concerned, if it's not the best year for music, it'd have to be something from the 60s, right? I mean, because I just named all rock albums. What about, you had Dr. Dre come out with his album, The Chronic, right? That came out in 91. We'll talk about that album. You had so many good albums that just, I say good, but some would argue great. Just genre defining albums that came out that year. So, and this being one of them, Blood Sugar Sex Magik, which the title track off that album, Blood Sugar Sex Magik, that's a great song too. We didn't play it, but maybe we might later, but I don't remember if I brought it up in the title track episode, but shame on me if I didn't.
No, you didn't, but that is true. It is a great song, and I think that the thing that you said is really what's super important. Is they have other albums that are great, but this one to me seems to have an emotional pull. You know, Stadium Arcadium is great. One Hot Minute. I mean, I love Aeroplane. I love all their albums, but this one just has an emotional. I just have an attachment to it, like you said, transports you, and I think that that's what makes this album so special for so many people. So
Yeah, I do too. It's again, it's one of those albums. Uh, Maybe I could describe it better as this is their master of puppets. This is the one that busts the door open for them, right? Like, boom, we're here, and the songwriting's great. John Frusciante, again, second album, coming into his own as I'm not Hillel, I'm John, and that was a big loss for them to get over. I mean, I'd put it right up there with just like Metallica getting over the loss of Cliff Burton.
Yeah.
Right? Getting over, because Hillel was a founding member. And getting over him was, they almost didn't go on. Because I think Chad Smith came into the band after that, too. I think there was a drummer before him.
Yeah, Jack Irons.
Okay, there you go. Jack Irons, who played with Pearl Jam later.
Yeah. He actually connected a lot of bands together with drummers after he left.
Yeah, he played with a lot of people.
Yeah. Kind of an interesting story, but maybe we'll cover that that'll be another episode topic. Let's talk about Jack Irons.
But no, I mean, just everything that led up to this album. And then, it's their Master of Puppets, their Dark Side of the Moon, whatever you want to call it. But it was the one that announced, okay, we're not this party funk band anymore. We're not that they weren't serious before, but we just put out an album. You have to take us serious now. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we're not the guys with socks on our junk.
They were the guys with socks on their junk.
But I'm saying, they're like, we're actual musicians. Like, we write songs and we play. I mean,
well, I mean, you stated it earlier when we played that last little section of Sir Psycho. The most underrated, forgotten person in the band is the drummer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think Chet.
Or Will Ferrell, depending on who you ask.
Will Ferrell. It's a dead ringer for him. But, I mean, he could have just as easily been our supergroup drummer, right? He's that good. He is, I mean, he's
solid. He is a modern-day John Bonham.
I would not disagree with that statement at all.
I mean, that's you listen to his tone, you listen to how he play. And now, can he kill it? Can he play all these other styles? Yeah, but he just sticks in the pocket.
Yep.
So.
Right on.
So there you go. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magik. 30 years old this year. It still sounds as fresh and as new to me as ever. Put it in the comments. Let us know if there's a song on there that you think we should have covered. We got away from the hits because we want to cover some of the deeper cuts. But let us know what you think. So Ryan, what is the wacky question you're going to bring up today that's going to floor us?
I don't know that it's going to floor you, but I mean, it's going to be fun. Now, the last time we had a segment like this, we did Whose Corner Would You Get In? Right? It was Christopher Cross or Michael McDonald.
Ooh,
right?
That was such a good episode.
That was a good segment. I think we all decided to go with Christopher Cross.
We did.
That's the only choice in that.
Now,
okay, listen to the episode. Let's get back on track.
I would hope today's might be a little bit more difficult to pick sides. Now, again, it may be easy for you guys. I don't know. I'm going to bring you two bands. These are not solo artists. These are bands.
Okay.
So this is like a miniature super fight.
I mean, I guess if that's what you want to call it. I mean, we're not going to go with numbers towards each other. I mean, it's literally just personal preference.
Okay.
All right.
But whose corner are you getting in?
Okay.
Here we go. Boston.
Okay.
Or Styx.
Boston. all day, every day. That's not even. I mean, not even a thought. Just Boston.
It's not that easy to sit there and say just Boston.
Yes, it is.
Styx is great, dude. Come sail away, dude. Mr. Roboto, come on, man. Too much time on my hands.
Well, Mr. Roboto, like
no, Mr. Roboto rules, and I don't care what
that album about destroyed their career.
It did almost destroy it. Well, Dennis DeYoung is still not in the band because of it. And that's almost worth having Styx as the better band to listen to. But I tell you, man, so there's a video out there. You can get it on YouTube, man, and you can see they're doing Mr. Roboto at the Summit in Houston, and people are like throwing beer bottles and like because okay, so Ryan, I don't know if you know, since little history lesson, just in case you don't know this. So they were Styx was a rock band. They released Mr. Roboto as a concept album, and what they wanted to do was actually act out scenes where the band acted out scenes with Mr. Roboto. And here's all these rockers coming to see it, and they are just it almost destroyed their career, like forever. And there's video of it, and it is cringy. But anyway, I don't think it's that easy. Now, I will say for me, I lean towards Boston on this one, but I don't think it's as cut and dry as just Boston or Styx.
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying. I think that you were like Boston is hands down Boston.
Hands down Boston.
Okay, well, I think that it's a little more cut and dry, but I do think Boston.
My cousin Mark, who's listening to this, will probably shoot me a text message or an email about how the greatness of Styx, but he's just one man.
They're great. Now the other thing is Boston
Love you, Mark.
released 3 albums?
That's all you need, man.
I mean, Styx had a lot more. I mean,
we're not. He said personal preference. Okay.
Yeah, we're not throwing numbers out here. This isn't a super fight.
Okay. Well, you said it was a mini super fight.
No, I asked if it was going to be like a
mini. That it was a mini super fight.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
This goes back to pre-production when we discussed whether or not Joel actually listens to what I say.
I listened to everything. By the way, in the outtakes from the last video where you said I said something, and I go, I didn't say that. I literally did not say that. So I do listen. You guys just give me. These were recording this. Go look back. I do listen.
I don't even know what you're referring to.
Exactly.
Man.
You said, did you say head or something like that? It's in the outtakes. And I said, I didn't say that. You go, yeah, you did. We're going to, bull crap, we're going to listen to it. And I listened to it, and I didn't say that. Anyway.
What does this have to do
You can edit anything out you want to make it look like you didn't say something else. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Whatever.
What
so you're going Boston?
Y'all are Boston or Styx?
I'm going to go Boston. I'm going Boston by a smaller margin than Fisher.
Now, okay. So again, I'm hijacking the segment. Okay, so Boston. Okay, so I'm going to throw a third one into this.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm going to throw another one in. So you got Boston. What if we throw Boston and Journey? Whose corner are you getting in?
Still Boston.
Man.
See, I go Journey all day on that.
Yeah.
Because you're a pussy.
Ow. Speaking of editing, I think for me personally, I'm gonna have to go Journey. I love Boston, but man, there's just something about Journey, dude. You know, I'm just yeah. And besides, Randy Jackson was a Journey. Come on, man.
And
he played the bass. He slapped at the bass.
I tell you what, man. Though it's hard to beat, Steve Perry's vocals. It really is.
Yeah.
So pure and it was anyway before he went through his issues.
Well, he's back now. Have you heard?
I know he's back.
His new album sounds great.
I haven't heard his new album, but I started I saw a few YouTube videos of him when he started to come back, and he sounded rough, and I was like, ooh, I don't know about that. But
the dude's in his 70s almost. I mean, cut the man some slack.
No, I got you. No, I hear you, but I mean, man,
Yeah,
Back
you
when they were
say
in their heyday, like
Steve
vocally, I
Perry's
don't know if anybody
vocals.
could beat Steve Perry back in his heyday.
Except for
You
Lou Pinea.
you listen to Brad Delp's singing on More Than a Feeling.
Oh no, I know More Than a Feeling's a great song. I mean,
What?
but phew,
Is it Michael Sweet, the new lead singer who replaced Brad Delk?
You know more than I
I
would.
think he did. I think he replaced him. I think Brad Delk passed away.
He did. Yes, he did pass
And
away.
I think Michael Sweet is the person who took over for him, which that's an interesting choice. But yeah, I mean, his vocals, you're right. His vocals are great. The songs are great. I mean, they recorded 3 albums, and those 3 albums are by far the roadmap of what a rock album should sound like. I mean, great songs, great leads, great melodies.
All right, I got one for you.
Okay.
Since we're on this little tangent here.
No rules.
No rules. Boston or Foghat?
Boston.
I don't know
see?
who Foghat is. So
Yeah, you do.
I'm
Slow
sure I
ride.
do if I heard a song. But
Slow
so
ride.
so here's what I was gonna do. Since Christian's stuck on Boston, we can't get him to come off of Boston. Maybe I'll find one where he will. Okay.
All right.
So let me keep going. Let me keep going here. So what about Boston or Foreigner?
Boston.
Okay. What about Boston or REO Speedwagon?
Boston.
Okay. Boston or Bad Company?
Oh,
That's a good
Oh,
one.
there we go.
that's a good one. But I'm not Boston by a little bit.
That's a good one, coach.
All right. What about
Came in high and tight on that one.
What about Boston or Asia?
Oh, come on now. Boston.
It's Boston.
Boston or Kansas?
That's actually what I was thinking about earlier. Which one of the two?
I've seen Kansas live. They put on one hell of a show. I wish I could have seen Boston live. That's a toss-up for me. I can't go either way. That's a toss-up.
Oh.
Okay. We'll keep going. What about Boston or Chicago?
Depends on my mood. I'm more of a rock-oriented guy, so I would lean towards Boston.
Okay.
But I mean, can't go wrong with Chicago.
What about Boston or Eddie Money?
Wow. Take me home tonight. Come on, dude.
Yeah, take me home. Yeah. You know what?
It'd still be Boston for me on that one.
Yeah, in Boston.
All right. So for the sake of the segment, I'm going to throw this one out there just so we can move on to the first listen. Would you pick Boston or Metallica?
Oh,
Metallica.
Are you
There we
kidding
go.
me?
See, I told you I would get him off of Boston eventually.
Well, that was an easy one.
But
That was an easy one. Had you said Boston or Bob Seger, I would have gone Bob Seger.
Really?
Yeah.
God.
Okay, again, personal preference. Bob Seger holds a lot of sentimental value to me, a lot of nostalgia. Bob Seger, he's one of my earliest musical memories, and he's an early musical memory with my mom.
No.
And so my mom absolutely loved Bob Seger, and I mean, before Amanda and Mikey were born, and it was just me, I'd ride around in the car, and she'd crank, and our 19, I think it was a 1981 Monte Carlo, and damn, that was a sweet car. And
the quadraphonic sound.
Sure, why not? But man, it was Bob Seger. That would have got me off Boston.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, get back on your horse and give us this first listen.
All right, so this first listen, this is not something that I would have picked just out of the blue, but another friend of all of ours, a really good friend of mine that I grew up with, Mr. Aaron Burns. We trade songs every now and again, like, hey, this came on my iPod just a second ago or whatnot. He sent me this, and I had not heard it before, so I thought I'd pass it along to you two. to see what you guys thought. And this is a band called Black Pumas.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard of them, Joel?
I've heard of the band, yeah.
And it's a song called Stay Gold.
I'm excited.
Too loud?
I already like it.
Hair on my head, head on my shoulders. Winter was cold, but baby, summer was colder. Summer was
Yeah.
colder.
I've seen them perform on YouTube. There's one of those videos that came up. But I don't know this song. This is good.
So I took it all in. I blew it all out. On my way to my daddy's. Had my head in the clouds. Look, baby, summer gets colder. Yeah. Baby, love, don't forsake me. 'Cause it gets colder. And you know we gotta stay gold. Stay gold. I need love. So hold on and help me stay gold. So I took it all in. I blew it all out. On my way to my daddy's. Had my head in the clouds. Look, baby, summer gets colder. Baby, love, don't forsake me. 'Cause it gets colder. And you know you gotta stay gold. Stay gold. I need love. So hold on and help me stay gold. So I went to my sister's. She said, hey, little brother.
This sounds like something that should be in a Quentin Tarantino movie.
All like foxes and
Yeah.
dragons. I say summer
Or,
was
what's that other director that uses music like this?
I figured this sounded
David
like
Lynch.
something. It sounds like it should be in the Big Lebowski.
Cause it gets cold.
Yeah.
And you know you gotta stay gold.
Make a note of that.
Stay gold. I need love. So hold on and help me stay Let me stay gold. Stay gold, stay gold. When it's too cold. Stay gold, stay gold, stay gold. Let me stay gold, stay gold. Stay gold, stay gold. Keep the light on. Stay gold, stay gold, stay gold. Let me stay gold.
That is Stay Gold by Black Pumas.
I like how they faded it out at the end. They didn't just come to a stop. Like it just
Yeah.
that old school fade out. Heck yeah.
I like how you made the comment, Joel, that this should be in a. It sounds like it should be in a Quentin Tarantino or David Lynch movie. The description on iTunes is this: Black Pumas is to late '60s and early '70s soul as Quentin Tarantino movies are to vintage exploitation.
Yeah.
So, I think I don't know. When Aaron sent me this song, So again, Mr. Patrick Aaron Burns, thank you very much for the first listen this week.
Patrick. I
Yeah,
did not know that.
yeah. Only his really good friends know him as Patrick.
Oh, so the whole world knows now. It's on the web. It's on YouTube.
No, actually, his really good friends call him Aaron. That's right, Aaliyah. Aaron. Aaliyah is his wife. Anyway, you know, he finds, I don't know how he finds these bands. He just finds these bands from left field, sends them to me. At least they're left field for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment I heard this song, I was like, oh, I've got to bring this to the show. It's got to be a first listen. So do I even need to ask? Did you guys like it? Start with you, Ryan.
Yes.
Yes. And you want to expound on it, or
No. Yeah. So it no, it was refreshing to hear something like that, like old school that was recorded. What'd you say, last year?
yeah, it came out last year.
So it's refreshing to hear and know that they're still making music that sounds vintage, that sounds good, and it's not just your,
Little Uzi Verts.
yes, and that total go in there and let's use the pitch correct, and we'll put it into a some kind of system that's going to basically play all the music for you, and it's very just robotic and whatever. Like, it's actual, like, you could tell there was some emotion, feeling, soul, everything in all parts of the song, which I really liked, because man, yeah, that was good. That was refreshing. I'm glad they're still making shit like that.
I will say, I will expound on what you said. It's good to hear music that's coming out in 2020, that 2021, whatever, that sounds like they belong in the music industry. Like, they're talented, right?
Yes.
Not you or myself. I'm going to exclude Joel, because Joel could walk in the studio and do something like that. And you probably could too, vocally. But, I mean, it's not just something you walk in the studio and 3 hours later hit track, right? That's something that you have to sit down, actually have some kind of talent at the whatever instrument you're using, whether it's your voice, the guitar, the bass, the drums, whatever. And can we just give a shout out to backup singers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Backup singers. Joel, what'd you think?
Well, I was just checking out some of the stats on this. For me, yeah, I dig it. I also think it's cool that I don't know if you know this, but they're from Austin.
Yeah, I just at least I guess the guitar player,
the guitar player producer, but they both settled in Austin, and I mean, I love it. The thing that I love about music like this is it's not new. It's not new,
right?
But it sounds new, even though it's not new. It's just that classic. If you have a good pocket, if you have great chords, you have a great melody and a great performance. That's what this sounds like. Like, for me, I think of the instrumentation. I'm not a big lyric guy, but I'm a melody guy, and I'm a rhythm guy, like what's going on in the background. And if you go back and listen to that drum part, it's almost as if he's not going to hit it on time every measure. Do get do get do get. There's like this pause.
Mm-hmm.
And I love little things because it creates what we call a pocket. And I don't care where you're at. When you hear that, everybody just starts moving, because it's that rhythm, it's that bass and that drum, that pocket that they create. So,
well, I will say, if you liked this one, which you both did, check out the rest of the album, because when he sent it to me last week, it sent me down the rabbit hole of this album. And I listened to it front and back all that rest of that evening into the next day. It's
Grammy nominated,
as well it should be, just based on that one song.
Best artist Grammy nominated, according
and if you bring it up on iTunes, the song that I played isn't even one of the most popular songs on the album.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which is one of the things I really love about what Aaron will send me. Like, he'll send me something off an album, And he and I think a lot alike when it comes to things that we like on an album and whatnot. And he always sends me stuff that's not the quote unquote hits. So like on Blood Sugar Sex Magik, how we stayed away from the hits. We didn't talk about it. We talked about other lesser known songs off the album that I think are infinitely better than the hits. You know, that's what I appreciate about his ear, and I really love that song. So there is the first listen. Joel, why don't you go through the spiel?
Oh, the spiel, as they say. Aaron, thank you for that first listen. Thank you for exposing us to new music and allowing us to keep our word. If you tell us, we will play it. We will listen. We will build it, and they will come.
Damn straight.
So go into YouTube, watch the video, subscribe, hit the cowbell, comment, let us know what you're doing. Let us know what you're thinking about. If you like this segment, if you think that Christian is wrong for liking Bob Seger over Boston, let us know that. I mean,
how can you be wrong?
Well, I'm just saying some of those bands that Gerfer's mentioned, man, those are some pretty heavy hitting bands. But let us know what you're thinking. Subscribe, follow us on Spotify, follow us on YouTube. As Fisher says all the time, help us feed the algorithm.
Yeah, make those comments.
And make those comments. And actually, don't make the comments because I really don't want to wear pasties. I don't want to sing Hero, and I don't want to wear pasties.
Yes, he does.
So
yes, he does.
On that note, don't just ixnay everything I said. Fisher, what do you have for us as far as the channels to check out?
Channels to check out. The first channel I have tonight is another reaction channel. Can't tell by now what kind of channels I like to watch on YouTube. It's a reaction channel. It's a husband and wife. It's a channel by the name of Vin and Sori. And they react to everything. A lot of their reactions are follower suggestions, and they're about Ryan's age. So, you know, a lot of the stuff they listen to and react to, they come at it from Ryan's point of view. Like they may quite possibly have not heard it before they actually push play and react to the song. So, and then they go on and do a deep dive, if you will. They talk about, you know, they'll pull the lyrics up, read the lyrics, talk about, then they'll listen to it again after reading the lyrics to see if it hits them different and things like that. So check them out if you want. And then my second channel, I thought it was appropriate since we're talking about music from 30 years ago, and it's a channel by the name of Grunge Rock Productions. And they do, like we do all music all the time, they're all grunge all the time.
Ooh.
Right? They do behind the albums and your favorite grunge albums they'll talk about, or what happened to this, whatever happened to insert musician from a grunge band from the 90s. So check them out. Grunge Rock Productions.
Grunge Rock Productions. I like it.
Take it home, Gurf.
Awesome. So if you liked this episode, like they said, comment, subscribe, tell everybody you know. Okay. One thing I want to do real quick before we do sign off, we've been doing a pretty good job on Facebook. If you're not following us on Facebook, go do it, because we put a question of the day out, and we've got somebody that I want to shout out to real quick, because this person has pretty much answered almost every single question of the day, if not all of them. And that is Mr. Mark Hudgens. Did I say that correct?
Yes, that's my cousin.
And
Mr.
so
Mark Hudgens.
Mark has answered almost every single question of the day. Thank you, Mark, for feeding the algorithm on Facebook. Feed it here on YouTube as well.
He would be an interesting person to have on and talk music.
And so, again, we want to get into that conversation with all of you. We don't want it to just be us three. We want to bring people into this. So engage with us on social media, engage with us here on YouTube. We may float the idea around, and the guys aren't, they don't know that I'm going to say this, but maybe we'll float the idea around of doing a live at some point.
Hell yeah.
To where you can interact with us live. That might be coming down the pipe in a few episodes. So we absolutely love it when you comment or answer our questions of the day. If there's a question of the day that you have, put it in the comments. Go on Facebook and put it up there, and we will be more than glad to answer your question.
Yeah, check us out on the gram too.
Yes, we're on Instagram, right? Spotify. Again, we've said this before, but if for some reason you forgot, if you're listening to us on Spotify, jump on over here to YouTube and just put in the comments real quick. Hey, I'm on Spotify usually. We want to know who you are. So do that. And then while you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe and notification button. But until our next episode, make sure that y'all are out there just enjoying life, listening to music, and then keep living, keep loving, keep listening, and as always, keep rocking.
There it is.
There it is.
Total robot. It's like a mix.
Fun.
It's a mix of like an alien, the Predator, and a robot.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of like a synth sound from the 70s, like
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, but it's also really annoying. What's up, homies?
You changed locations.
Well, I'm trying to get a little bit more professional than what I've been.
What, no penis on the wall?
No. Okay. No penis on the wall.